We are just over 2 weeks away from the 2025 NBA trade deadline being here. And on today's video, we are going to react to James L. Edwards III, the Knicks Insider from The Athletic, as he put out 3 Knicks trade ideas. I thought they were good ones, and I wanted to share my thoughts on them. So we are going to do so on today's show. But make sure you are subscribed to the channel, Knicks Now by Chat Sports. The deadline is 15 days away. We will have an entire trade deadline live show for you guys, and I don't want you to miss it. I don't want you to miss it if the Knicks make a trade. So subscribe and turn your notifications on right now. Welcome into New York Knicks Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. Appreciate everybody for stopping by. Shout out to James L. Edwards III of The Athletic. I linked his article in the description of today's show, so if you want to go read that entirely, please do so. And, show him some love. He's a really good guy. He does great work. All righty, 3 trade ideas. Let's break it down. First, though, due to the CBA that was made official this offseason, making trades is about 1 million times harder than it used to be. Coming up with trade ideas is about 1 million times harder than it used to be. And just having barbershop talk about trade ideas is almost thrown out the window because you got to match this with this, apron that, apron. It's just ridiculous. Adam Silver has ruined the casual conversation about trades. But because the Knicks are past the first apron and they are hard capped by the second apron because they sent out more money in some trades this offseason, they cannot exceed that second apron. They also cannot accept more in a trade than they trade out. They have to send out more money than they bring back, which makes it difficult. Let's start with this, though. Let's set the scene a little bit. I really only think there are 8 players that the New York Knicks, maybe more, but these are the main guys that I see the Knicks willing to include in trades. And really, it's important because of the numbers and the amount of money that they do make. Mitchell Robinson, $14.3 million, 6 for Precious, 4.7 for Deuce. Only thing they would trade Deuce if it nets them a really big player. Jericho makes 2, Payne makes 2, Kolek makes 2, Dottier makes 1.8. And I think you can trade Matt Ryan. Not 100% sure. He is $621,000. You also got a lot of second-round picks. All of your first-round picks have been traded. You have 1 tradable first-round pick right now, and that is the 2025 first-round pick. That is yours, but it comes from Washington, and that is protected 1 through 10. And that is not going to convey this year, which means it rolls over to next year, and it's protected in the top 8. And if it doesn't convert then it becomes 2 second-round picks. And you got a handful of second-round picks. You got 2 in 2025. You got 3 in 2026. You got 2 in 2027. You got 1 and 2 in 2028. And you got 1 in 2031. So you got a handful of second-round picks. And to keep it a buck with you and myself, and I've kind of had to swallow, this pill, I don't think a big move is coming for the Knicks. I don't think a drastic trade is coming. I don't think there's a Josh Hart trade coming down the pipeline. There's damn sure not an OG Anunoby trade coming down the pipeline. I don't think there's a trade out there that is going to do nearly the type of things that the prior trades did for this ball club this year. I do think there are moves to be made that can help this team. I think it can help their depth. That's the type of trade I think the Knicks are going to look at, try to lengthen out that rotation, make Tibbs not run these guys into the dirt. And you could see a trade that happens this year that makes it easier for them to make a trade down the line. What do I mean by that? Turning Mitchell Robinson in his 2-year, about $27 million contract into a guy that's maybe 4 years and $80 million. And he's making $14 million a year over the next 4 years. You want to have a large contract on your books that you deem tradable. That way you can be in the sweepstakes when those trade talks arise. You don't want to be ass out like the Knicks kind of are right now. First trade idea from James L. Edwards. Jonas Valančiūnas going from Washington to the Knicks with Mitchell Robinson and those 2 2026 second-round picks going to D.C. Look, we've talked about Valanciunas a lot on this channel. We talked about him in the summer when there were a lot of rumors out there that we told you guys about. The Knicks had deep discussions with Valanciunas. And to my knowledge, shout out to Papa Left. Hope he's doing all right. Miss him on Twitter. One of the best in the business. He was told via his source that the Knicks were pretty much going to sign Valanciunas until OG Anunoby asked for more money once he got news that Mikal Bridges was going to be traded to this team. So there is that. When it comes to the idea of making the trade for Valanciunas, obviously the Knicks have interest, and I think it makes sense for a couple of different reasons. One, he always plays. He's always available. Played in nearly all 41 games this year. Played 82 games last year, and he played in 79 games the year before and 74 games the year before that. He's missed less than 15 games over the last 4 seasons. He's also still an extremely skilled big man. He could still put the ball in the basket. He's not the 17.8 points per game guy anymore, but he rolls out of bed and he gets you 10 and 10. Not shooting the three-point ball as well as he used to. Can still hit an open shot if you leave him, but he can work out his back to the basket in the mid-range. He's got great touch around the rim. He can score with both hands. He can operate in a pick and roll, and he's someone that you could throw the ball to on the block and let him work out. He gives you another score off the bench. And right now, the Knicks, they kind of need that. We've seen over the past couple of weeks or so, really in the month of January, this offense has sputtered a little bit at times. I mean, it was like 8 minutes into the fourth quarter yesterday. We scored just 3 points. It also gives you cat insurance. That sounds funny. It gives you cat foul insurance because we know Karl-Anthony Towns is addicted to fouling. And it's not a first quarter unless Towns has 2 fouls. And it's not a first half unless he has 3 fouls. And maybe the thumb injury is big for Cat. Maybe he is going to have to sit out for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Valanciunas can slide in that starting spot. And it gives you an opportunity to have another guy that you could play through when Towns is out. And it gives you the ability to keep that same 5-out type of offense. Even though he doesn't shoot threes, he spaces the floor due to his ability to catch, put it on the deck, and score one time. The question you got to ask yourself is this. Do you trust Mitchell Robinson? 1, to get healthy. 2, to stay healthy. And 3, be the same type of player he was prior to the injuries. Those are 3 major questions. If Mitch is healthy and Valanciunas is healthy, I'd rather have Mitch because he can defend better and he's the best offensive rebounder in the NBA. But I don't know if Mitch is healthy. I don't know if he's going to get healthy. I don't know if he's going to stay healthy. And I don't know if he's the same player he was after 2 major feet injuries and surgeries. You're turning pretty much someone that doesn't play into a player that always plays. I don't hate that idea in the slightest. We have 2 more trade ideas to break down. First, though, I got to tell you about our proud sponsor, Game Time. Shout out to Game Time, the #1 ticketing app out there, and a ticketing app that you should start to use. And if you use our promo code, you're going to get $20 off your first purchase where terms do apply. Game Time guarantees the best seat for the lowest price. Price actually drop as the events get closer. They specialize in last-minute tickets. It's easy to decide which ticket you want because the app is awesome. They let you know when prices are dropping, but also you can compare seat to seat, side by side. You get to see your seat view inside the app. I also love that it's easy to have the tickets on your phone. Scan that QR code to get into the stadium very easily. And it's easy to resell your tickets if you no longer want to go to the event. It's more than just NBA. You can go to NFL games. You want to go to a playoff game, the best place to get your tickets is with Game Time. MLB's around the corner. You can go to college hoops. You can go to concerts. You go to theater events, and so much more. Use that all-in pricing feature. That way the price you see is the price you pay. No hidden fees when you get to checkout. And that Game Time Picks feature is awesome as well. Makes it that much more easy to go see your favorite people perform. So what are you waiting for? What time is it? It's game time. Download the app. Create an account. Use that promo code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, and you're going to get $20 off your first purchase where terms do apply. All of that information is clickable down in the comments and description of today's show. Mr. Edwards' second trade idea, a 3-team trade. It's always fun talking a little 3-team trade. You go here, and you go here. Let's start with the Knicks. They would receive Isaiah Stewart from the Detroit Pistons and Torrey Craig from the Chicago Bulls, while the Detroit Pistons would receive Zach LaVine from Chicago and Precious Achiuwa from our Knicks. Whereas the Chicago Bulls would get Hardaway Jr., once a Knick, always a Knick, never a Knick again, please, from the Detroit Pistons. Mitchell Robinson from the Knicks, Simone Fontecchio from Detroit, 2 seconds from Detroit, and 2 seconds from the New York Knicks. 3-team trades are always crazy. I don't know if this one would happen. I think they would like, being Detroit, to get someone like Zach LaVine next to Cade Cunningham. And there's been some rumors out there the Knicks have had interest in Isaiah Stewart for quite some time. This is someone that is a really, really tough player. We saw it in the game where the Knicks lost to the Detroit Pistons a couple days ago, that he had a really nice block. He could defend the paint. He's a versatile player. 6'8", 250. He is built like a brick shit house. And he also is someone that has showed in his career that he could shoot the outside shot. This year, he's not really doing it. And James mentioned this in his article that he wouldn't be too, scared of it. Also, James covered the Pistons prior to covering the Knicks, so he's got a really good evaluation of Isaiah Stewart, in my opinion. I'm going to listen to him on that. He believes the three-point shooting would return if the volume returned. In 2023, 2024, when he shot 38%, he was shooting almost 5 threes a night. This year, he's shooting like less than 1 3 a night. So he's not making them, but he's also not taking them. And I think with the Knicks, they would encourage them to take it anymore. Would encourage him to take them a little bit more. He can switch on defense. He can box out. He can rebound. You see the 6'8" size, almost got like a 7-foot wingspan, so I'm not too worried about that. And he's someone that can give you some positional flexibility. He could be a small man 5, but he could also play the 4 next to Karl-Anthony Towns. That would be the main chip in this trade. Torrey Craig, not going to expect too much of him when he joins this squad, if he does join the squad because of this trade. Gives you a veteran backup wing. Would give you a legit 6'7" guy that could shoot it from outside. There's been years in his career where he's pushed 40% from downtown. He is 34 years old, so I don't know how much gas is left in the tank. I don't know if he's more worried about Meg the Stallion at this point. But Craig, a veteran and pretty much a salary cap filler for that. The question I would ask James, as he has covered the Pistons very closely, was the beat reporter for them for The Athletic, and he's done 45 games or so for the New York Knicks, is Stewart that much better than Precious Achiuwa? Is it worth giving up also some of the players that we talked about that the Knicks would have to give up in that trade and the 2 second-round picks? I'm not so sure. I like Precious a lot. I'm biased. I'm a big fan of him. Stewart, definitely the more offensively skilled player. I think they're pretty similar on the defensive end. I think that Stewart is a little bit more of a bigger body and a little bit stronger and a little bit more mean. Maybe the Knicks could use an enforcer like that. I don't know. I don't know if I love that trade for the New York Knicks. Stewart, maybe I'm sleeping on him as a player a little bit. Last trade idea that he talked about was Javonte Green becoming a Knick and Jericho Sims becoming a New Orleans Pelican. There's been talk for a while. The Knicks have been shopping Jericho, and there's been talk that the New Orleans Pelicans are in need of a center. Look, I like the idea of Jericho Sims as a third center on a team. He is really versatile on the defensive end. He can get out and guard guards from time to time. But he's not just playing all that much, especially if the Knicks are healthy and they keep Precious. And they could use a guy like Javonte Green. Rough, rugged, nasty, all grit, all grind, all the time, and an underrated athlete. I know he's 6'4", 205. He plays way bigger than that. He's one of the best rebounders at the 6'4" size, like Josh Hart. He's a good rebounder for that. In 2023, 2024, I know he played in just 9 games, 7.4 boards, though. 3.4 this year, not a crazy number for him, but when you factor in how many possessions he's grabbing those at, he's solid. Not a great shooter. The percentages kind of suggest he is. The volume is a little bit lower than you would anticipate. But when you talk about Javonte Green and what he brings, like we talked about, all grit, all grind, all the time. He's in this league because of hustle. He's in this league because of outworking people. And what does that sound like? A Tom Thibodeau guy. And I remember watching him 3 times against my New York Knicks last year. Beat us up with energy. Beat us up with toughness. And beat us up with pride. He plays with pride. In 3 games versus the Knicks last year, 15 points and 11 rebounds. Didn't shoot the ball well, but he played 34 minutes per game. He's an undersized wing that plays bigger than he is. He's a good athlete. He can get out and run. He'll help on the glass. And you play him 8 to 10 minutes a game, and he D's up, hits maybe a 3 or 2, gets out and runs in transition, and helps you board up. Because right now the Knicks, they're getting boarded up. Look, it's not the most sexy move. None of these moves are sexy, to be quite frank with you. Isaiah Stewart, Javonte Green, and Jonas Valančiūnas. Not the most sexy moves in the world. Not needle-moving moves really that much. I think Valanciunas could move the needle. I don't know. Pick a trade to make. If you had to make one of these 3 trades, what would it be? Type 1, if you would make the move that sends Valanciunas to the New York Knicks. Type 2, if you would do the trade that sends Stewart and Craig to the New York Knicks. Or type 3, if you would do the Javonte Green trade that sends Jericho Sims to New Orleans. I'm curious what all the real ones have to say. We're going to continue to up our trade coverage here on the channel. We're less than 2 weeks away. We'll be doing free videos every day on the trade deadline. Subscribe, turn notifications on, and get more Knicks coverage on my social media platforms, Twitter, IG, at Marshall Green _.